If you want to have the perfect start possible in Ghost of Yotei, you are in the right place. As your fellow samurai who spent more than 80 hours in the game and wasted a lot of hours making mistakes, I'll be giving 24 tips that will save you a lot of time and guesswork and help you avoid the common traps in the game. Like for example, making sure to exhaust all memories you can when you visit your old home or one of the main hubs in the game. Your old memories can lead you to certain key locations that you can see in the present to get more rewards or unlock features, or side story events, or even get fast upgrades such as a free +1 spirit charge. You can do so by fixing the broken bamboo stand in your home to get the said upgrade. Make sure to hunt down and track every NPC when visiting locations, as they can lead you to optional areas, unlock new gears, and also minigames. And oftentimes, these minigames will provide you with additional rewards such as charms, or these NPCs can provide you with useful information to advance the main story. Since we can have bajillions of activities to do in this game, take advantage of the Wolf Pack NPC information and tracker. This is pretty useful when tracking available upgrades or hunting down side quests. There are a lot of other useful notifications in your character menu, so be on the lookout for them. But the Wolfpack menu is by far the easiest feature to use when checking your list of activities, as all of the key NPCs are consolidated in a single menu. Completing bounties is one of the fastest way to earn coin or your money in this game. But clearing bounties can also make you advance some of the side quests and can even give you great rewards such as charms and armor sets. You will be unlocking the bounty feature as soon as you complete your first major objective, which is checking the Yotei Shadow Inn, and I'm showing the location for your convenience. Make it a habit to accept all of the bounties you can, so when you are out in the landscape, you can complete these bounties while exploring the land, hitting 2 birds at a time, saving you a lot of time in the process. Take note as well that bounties can commence even if you didn't accept them from bounty boards. So if this happens, just turn in your cleared bounties to Kojiro and he will give you the rewards. Speaking of money farming, clearing bounties is actually not the fastest way to farm money, even if the game tells you otherwise. There are 2 major ways to earn the fastest coin possible per hour, and the first one is storming enemy camps around the map. If you are desperate to earn cash right away, just find an enemy camp, save your progress before heading to it, set the difficulty to casual, and start killing enemies in that camp. Once you've killed 90% of the enemies in that camp, you can save your progress and then select restart at the last checkpoint. By doing this, you can respawn enemies and keep the materials that you just farmed. This is the fastest method to farm raw materials as well for your weapon upgrades. Excess upgrade materials can be sold easily for money. I made a separate guide covering the best early farming spots and methods possible to save you the guesswork and a lot of time. Link in the description or find it by clicking the card here. In connection with the previous tip, I suggest getting the charm of Kanayago first before you start exploring the world or even doing farming runs. This charm increases the drop rate of metals, copper ores, and more. And these are your basic weapon upgrade materials. Once you get it, equip the charm and let it stay in your slot for a while, and it will save you a lot of time by just doing this, as you will be piling a lot of resources fast without even knowing it. Get this charm in the location on the screen right now and by completing the parkour lane in False Rest Shrine. But if your aim is to get the fastest amount of coin possible per hour, nothing beats the Zeni Hajiki minigame even at the late game. This minigame will give you the coin or money as a reward every time you win a match. Your first gambling den is located in the southern part of Yotei grasslands, and the others are scattered around the world, and you can usually find them in markets and inns. But you may find this minigame hard to deal with at first, but I got you covered. I will be skipping explaining the basics of this minigame as the tutorial did a great job of explaining it, but I will give you the best tips and practices to win every round fast. It's hard to manage the strength of your flicks at first, but the key to managing the force of your flicks is looking closely at Asu's middle finger. The higher the middle finger points, the stronger the flick is, while the force is weaker if the middle finger is bent and pointing at the table. It's hard to understand this tip if you are just watching it, but trust me, once you have the enough practice, you will understand this trick. If you are getting value so far, subscribe to the channel. Liking the video and engaging in the comments helps me more than you can imagine. Since you already know how to farm early upgrade materials easily, you will notice that it will start to pile up fast. Each of the materials cap is 999, so make sure to sell your excess materials for money, especially when dealing with copper ores to avoid wasting materials. Or you can visit Ainu merchants around the world and trade your excess material for new ones. You can find them in key locations or inns, or they can visit you in the field as well after you set up your camp. Your key merchants in this game moves from key location to another, but they also visit you in the field randomly to sell their stuff whenever you set up a camp. Aside from your key merchants, what I want to focus on are the rare ones. Like for example, this guy visited me and sold me a powerful mask that can increase my damage. The good thing is, I bought it and enjoyed the mask benefits all throughout the game. But in my second new playthrough while I'm making this guide, I failed to locate and respawn this merchant under the same conditions. So as much as possible, buy all of the stuff that rare merchants offer because you don't know when or where they will spawn next. Armor sets in this game are the primary driving force of character builds, since pretty much all of the weapons in Yotei just provide raw stats. Take the time exploring the world as armor sets are locked behind special bounties or standalone side quests. One of the absolute best armor sets in the game, even at late game and make bosses looks like child's play, is the Bounty Master armor. This armor can be found in the location that I'm showing on the screen right now. You will get the Bounty Master armor set by killing the key individual in this location. This armor set slaps really hard since it increases perfect parry and dodges windows by a lot, allowing you to pull perfect parries frequently. And on top of that, my goodness, this armor allows you to counter 3 heavy strikes that hits like an absolute truck. While on the other hand, I will be covering all of the best armor sets to get early soon, so stay tuned for that. Aside from armor sets, charms can enhance your character builds by a ton. You can get more charms by completing shrine locations in the game or by unlocking fox dens. These charms provide game-changing additions and some of them even have progressing effects. Like for example, the charm of Confident Strikes, where it increases its effect after you manage to stagger enemies with the katana after a specific number of times. So pay attention to upgradable charms. You can also buy charms from Taro, who is one of your key merchants in the game. Try your best to buy all of the charms he offers or get as many charms in the field, since the more charms you have, the more charm slots you can unlock. Not only that, having more charms also upgrades existing unlock slots, so you can equip more major charms. Heading to my exploration tips, and right off the bat, you need to understand the main points of interest that you need to unlock as soon as possible when exploring the world of Ezo. Altar of Reflection gives you skill points to progress your growth or skill tree. These altars are usually placed in the field, while most of them are locked behind enemy camps. Liberate a camp and you will also unlock its corresponding Altar of Reflection and also gain rewards from chests. Wolf's Den is the counterpart of Altar of Reflections. When you unlock Wolf's Den in the field, it will give you skill points for your Wolf skill tree. Fox Dens and Shrines on the other hand gives you minor and major charms for your character builds. And I highly suggest tracking all of them, since if you can remember, you need to get as many charms as you can get your hands on. While unlocking Hot Springs increases your max HP, which is obviously great for your overall survivability. Unlocking Bamboo Strikes will upgrade your spirit charges, where you need to complete a minigame with quick button presses. If you don't like messing with this minigame, you can simplify it by accessing your gameplay settings, going to accessibility, and changing rapid button presses menu to simplified. To be honest, I'm so grateful that we don't have annoying markers to follow or have an excessive checklist in my character HUD while exploring the map. However, I also understand that other players prefer markers in general to hunt down locations, and the best thing that they can have is the wind guidance. If you place a marker in a specific location, swiping up the DualSense controller's face button will summon the wind and lead you to the marker's direction. Use this when you are lost and don't want to constantly check your map. While on the other hand, I highly suggest buying all of Isaburo's maps for direct visual cues. These maps can easily lead you to points of interest and it will be costly at first, but the benefits of these POIs can outweigh the costs. The next step is taking advantage of your shamisen songs. You unlock new songs by visiting certain locations on the map. Certain shamisen songs can be used to track down certain points of interest. like for example the Song of Well-Being, which caused the guiding wind to track down hot springs in the field. Very useful when you are trying to complete 100% of a certain area. Now if you don't want to hunt for points of interest manually, I have made a step-by-step definitive progression guide for early to mid-game that you can follow. This guide covers the best unlocks in the game, enough for you to have the perfect start. Again, link in the description or click the card here. This goes without saying when playing open world games, but picking up raw materials in the field while exploring the landscapes will benefit you in the long run. This also applies when exploring enemy camps or when visiting towns. Make it a habit to pick up everything, as you really don't know which materials you will be needing next for your upgrades or crafting sessions. By just following this trick, you will save tons of time rather than going out in the field and hunting for specific materials when the need arises. While exploring the landscapes, you will come across hanging loot tied on a tall tree. To get this type of loot, shoot the actual net to make the item fall with an arrow, and most of the time, this hanging loot provides a bulk of raw materials, which is helpful for your day-to-day activities. Moving on to my best combat tips, and the first one is unlocking new weapon type available to you as soon as possible. In every major area that you visit, a new weapon type can be unlocked. Like for example, the dual katana can be unlocked in the first area of the game, or the yari or spear can be unlocked in Ishikari Plains. Unlock them as soon as you can, since each weapon types counter different types of enemies. If you are not using the right weapon against your enemies, it will take ages for them to be staggered, and fights will start to slog big time. The katana counters other katana users, and the dual katana eats yari users all day. Odachi kills and staggers brute type enemies in a pinch, while Kusarigama can destroy shields in a few swings. So by now, you've already have a clue that Tsushima stances are gone, and you will be juggling between weapon types frequently in combat to gain the upper hand most of the time. While the main weapon types dictate the outcomes of battles, don't forget that you do have quickfire weapons or the sub-weapons in this game. It's easy to forget your sub-weapons, especially when the heat of combat. Not to mention that some of them can drastically improve your builds. I highly suggest unlocking the quickfire weapon, Metsubushi, one of the earliest sub-weapon that blinds enemies and makes them vulnerable to attacks. And I'm showing its location on the screen right now. I don't use this on regular enemies, but when fighting shielded soldiers, it's about time to abuse this sub-weapon. Especially, it will take a while for you to unlock the Kusarigama. Because remember, Kusarigama counters shielded enemies. Sake runs the world of Yotei, and almost everyone loves to get drunk in this setting. Drinking sake can grant you spirit charges, so you can perform more healing or use them to perform spirit techniques. While take note that drinking sake too much will blur your visuals and minimize your sound combat cues, so be mindful of using it. If you follow this guide, I mentioned that parries in this game are broken as hell, so it is wise for you to master them as soon as you can. I mentioned that the bounty armor can trivialize parries to a great extent, but even without this armor, pulling off perfect parries in this game is forgiving. It would be easier for you to pull off a perfect parry when you wait for the enemy to attack first. The key here is waiting for the enemy to commit to the attack animation before pressing the L1 button. If you follow this trick, you can do perfect parries like it's nothing. Parries are so broken since they can lock enemies in a stagger state and let them suffer from continuous damage, regardless of whether you use any weapon type. Did you know that throwables in this game are so broken if you know how to use them properly? Throwable weapons can drop from enemies after killing them, but what you need to pay attention to is how you throw them. After picking the weapon, you can commit the mistake of manually aiming the weapon first before you throw the weapon at your targets. This is so clunky and most of the time misses, especially when in the heat of battle. What you want to do here is instead manually of aiming it is pressing the square button immediately after picking up the weapon. Atsu will do the tracking for you and it works perfectly even at great distance. You will be one-shotting targets frequently with this trick, or if not, damage them big time. Bears in this game are so violent, and not to mention, they have not so good telegraph movesets. There's a high chance that you will be wrecked in your first encounters, but if you want to make your life easier, just put an arrow on its head with a longbow to one-shot the poor bear. Now this section warrants a separate video, but to put it simply, focus on your katana skill tree, and you will never go wrong on this one. The majority of enemies in Yotei are katana users, so you will be getting the most out of your allotted skill points for this weapon. But aside from unlocking perfect parry, don't ever neglect the Onryo strike technique. It is one of your strongest attacks in the game, which also disarms targets after each hit. Disarmed targets in Yotei are good as dead, while bosses will be open for attacks without their weapons. The wolf skill tree is pretty straightforward, and what you want to focus on is upgrading the wolf's howl ability under the summoning skill tree. When you perform the Onryo's howl, you will have a chance to summon the wolf, and then getting the wolf's vengeance skill on the other side of the tree is mandatory, as this technique allows the wolf to stay in the field after you summon it. Dump all of the skill points and activate the skills under the summoning tree to further increase the appearance rate of your wolf. Although you will get a specific song to call the wolf before you enter an enemy camp, it's hours ahead when starting the game. I have barely scratched the surface when talking about skill trees, but if you ask me to select a few, I will only focus on the ones I suggested first. And as mentioned, a follow-up video about skill will be released soon. But what if you want to have the absolute best start in the game? Click on this video and I will catch you on the next one.